All right, our next category. Please stop.
Please stop what?
Please.
What? We just started, man. Come on.
Please
What?
don't do these things. Not us.
So
Them.
Also,
saying-
we have not just started. Not at all.
if you're saying please stop 2017,
Yes.
listen.
Vinny,
Yeah.
please
everything.
stop.
What should I stop with?
2017.
Oh, I'm just getting started
Oh, no.
by adding some more stuff to this list.
Oh. Please feel free.
Oh, I thought you said please stop. That's not this category. Please feel free is a different category. We'll get to another day.
This is kind of born out of like worst trend.
Yeah, this used to be called Worst Trend. It basically still is that.
Yeah.
Just with a little more, call to action.
I don't know how to call the thing I want to add here, so maybe I'll wait for us.
Okay.
I think not everything on here is a trend. In some cases, they are things that have just been long-standing issues that people have just gotten fed up with.
I'm going to...
I'll write this down, and then maybe
All right,
you guys can help me word
I'll start reading, and you can type by the time I get there. Please stop. Electronic Arts. Loot boxes / blind boxes. Games as a service. Call of Duty. WWE 2K / Ukes. Nintendo's lousy console design. Physical copies of early access games. Disney. In-game ads for purchasable goods. All right, here we go, Vinny. Extended periods where the player character is injured and that slows you down too much.
Agreed.
Wow, well said.
I think I nailed it.
Concise.
Interesting.
Slash has to talk to someone on the radio and walk slowly.
I hadn't thought
Forced
about that one.
walking.
Okay, what besides Destiny? Because that's the thing that comes to my mind.
Nier has a really
Nier.
extended shitty
Assassin's
secret.
Creed has some of those
Creed.
I
moments.
kind of liked it in Nier.
You did? That's actually one of the reasons I thought about
I
it.
thought it worked.
That was one of my least favorite parts of that game.
I mean,
Especially
sometimes
because I went the wrong way the first time and had to do that whole thing twice.
Oh,
You didn't get
brother.
stun locked
Wait,
by
I
a
died
bunch of
twice.
robots that actually and you had your autofill items, so you die,
Yeah.
come back to life, just get hit again, and
I feel like this is
ruin
like
your
an
night.
offshoot from Naughty Dog brought this to the world with Drake got hit in the side. He's got to limp through the snow for a while.
Or Gears, the whole walk and talk and
Batman
At least when that's happening, you're getting story. Like there's not that doesn't make it great, but you could at least go well, at least they're making sure you get this crucial beat of story.
Yeah, they're feeding you something.
Or sometimes I hoped it was a background load. I don't know.
Sure. I only thought it was bad in Destiny because if you play multiple characters, you have to do it every time.
yeah.
But although
Follow
at the
that
same
Falcon.
time, it's like 3 minutes.
And you got to follow that Falcon for a while, but the actual slow walking.
Yeah, by the time you get to the Falcon,
yeah.
you're moving and shooting again.
That's true.
This should probably be its own category.
Top
Best extended period where the
Worst injury.
Yep.
Does it happen in Wolfenstein? I feel like it doesn't slow you down. When
you're in a
injured.
wheelchair.
I mean, honestly, that is the first several hours of that game.
Yeah, but it's
But
you're
not several
slowed down.
hours. It's like first hour and change, but also that
if even that.
I would
that
say you
level
slow
is
down
designed for
dramatically by how many times you die.
I would say,
Yeah, there's
like the whole time you spend with half health in the first, what was that, third of that game? Half?
Close to half.
You're able to stack more armor in that situation,
Right.
but yes, you're right.
Yeah, this is more of like a Metal Gear crawling on the floor hospital thing of okay, come on. All right, I get it. I get it.
Pain.
But yeah,
I get it.
I get it.
That guy's on fire.
Yeah, I get it.
Is it a top 3 thing?
Probably
We
not.
could talk about some other stuff.
That's an annoying thing.
Make
There
that-
are some really bad things out
Yeah.
there.
Make that determination.
I mean, we would like that to stop.
Yeah, well, yes.
Yes, but I think even in Destiny, the first time I did Destiny, I was sort of like, wow, this is kind of neat. Like, I liked walking through it, and everything looked like bombed out. It was kind of
see
cool.
him marching through the streets and taking
Yeah,
it over and
like,
stuff.
that was cool the first time, but then it's like, well, I need to make a new character, and I don't want to lug through this thing
Yeah.
that, like, I don't actually have I don't progress at all. I literally just regress and then start fresh.
Right.
So it's like, I want to skip it, but
They
like,
should have let you just skip that whole.
I don't know why they
beginning part.
don't. I'm like surprised.
I just want to say I'm glad to see one game design thing on here because literally everything else is about business practices.
Yeah.
I mean, that's where we're at.
Yeah.
Well, what if I told you
games are good.
You can buy a speed doubler for when you're injured.
All right.
Yeah, make heal you up right away.
Oh.
Yeah, so we should talk through some of these other ones, but yeah, it doesn't have to stay on here. It was just something I remembered as a trend that I found a little annoying.
What are in-game ads for purchasable goods?
So when you turn on Assassin's Creed, there's a bunch of hey, buy this and buy that, and I feel like
Is it in-game items?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Wildlands does that. Similarly, like, hey, there's new stuff in the store.
I've seen it in a bunch of
Yeah,
stuff.
right now Tekken 7 has an ad for Geese Howard on the title screen or on the main menu.
That's a service, man.
I think
Being bombarded by ads before I even touch the gameplay.
I think Shadow of War had it too.
I think there's degrees
Yeah.
of this. Like, I think for something like, hey, we just put a big new character in our fighting game, like having a little thing on the splash screen is no big deal.
I would,
But, like,
I would honestly file this under games as a service because that is part of selling the service.
No.
It totally
So
is.
what is games as a service?
Games as a service is making a game like repeatably monetizable.
But like,
But that's not
I'm an MBA.
Games.
Let me
as
tell
a,
you.
games as a service is like an online connected game that they're
Yeah.
going to continue to update.
Yeah, like
Whether they
Overwatch.
games
monetize
as a
or
service
not
is like Dota.
is a separate issue.
Yeah.
I don't mind that.
I
Yeah.
think,
No
I
way.
think what
Game-
we're
that's the
talking
whole,
about.
That's why games as a service is a term that investors throw around all the time.
I
Because
mean,
it means
yes,
the game
you're
continue
right,
making
But
money.
what we're talking about is the notion of games as service being applied to games and genres that simply did not really try to do that shit on that scale up till recently.
Like, what's a good example of that one?
Like, I think when you look at something like, for instance, Shadow of War, like the way that they have sort of tried to monetize that game beyond its core, like, single player design
Sure.
was intrusive. It wasn't as bad in terms of like the loot box stuff as something like a Battlefront, but like, that was one of the games that sparked off that conversation. I was like, are we going to turn everything
No,
into a
but
games
so
as service?
That conversation, like, I feel like that specific issue falls under our loot boxes entry, not the games as a service category. Like Shadow of War is a game with DLC.
Yeah, so is that basically like, do you throw that in the same category as Zelda that has like 2 packs of DLC coming out or whatever? Like,
Well, I feel like
no, I
it's
don't think
different
so.
when it's
that's
like
a more finite
The,
thing.
the
right?
difference is Shadow of War's DLC is consumable and you can repeatedly buy it.
Shadow of War has
Right.
like story DLC. Like it has traditional
Yeah,
DLC.
it also has that stuff.
But
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 I don't
we're
thi-
not
I don't-
pointing out the story DLC as part of that component.
like I don't think that's games as a service. I think
Okay.
that falls under the loot box, blind box entry
I
we have
think
here.
they're the same thing.
I
but,
think
like,
is it maybe saying like not necessarily games as a service are bad, but single player campaigns that are trying to be made into games as a service are bad. You know what I mean?
That's kind of what I was trying
Yeah.
to get at.
But I feel like they do that most often by forcing loot boxes into
Right,
the
I
game.
think
so
that
like
you
that's
could
that's
just
a
do the
more
specific
distilled
stuff,
way
yeah.
of saying that.
So which games, Jeff, would you say are games as like a pure games as a service?
What's Splatoon?
Destiny.
Destiny.
Destiny's a game. But Splatoon, no,
they
I
don't
would
pay
look
for
at that as
anything?
like a multiplayer shooter. You
Okay,
know,
but they're
That
like
they are
constantly
updating.
bumping out new content.
they are,
But they're not charging you for
I
it.
think
Okay.
the service implies that they're charging you
the
for
money.
content going
So,
forward.
like Battlefront, is that a games as a
Yes.
service?
That's what they
very much
wanted.
so.
I apparently am in the minority
No.
here, but I think loot boxes are absolutely a form of games as a service because
I think so.
it is a
Ga-
way to
games as a
continue
service
making money
is-
on a thing that they otherwise would not be able to
Games
make money
as a service is about I feel like it's more about a cycle of
It's like
support
FIFA.
and more about it's more about an expectation of like this game is kind of online connected, in a way, like a Diablo 3.
I've
Well,
heard
like-
industry people specifically call out like sports games like FIFA as like cornerstones of the games.
Well, and keep in mind, a big part of the reason why they're doing that is a specific games as service element in those games, which is the ultimate team stuff, which is where EA
Which is
makes $1
blind
billion.
boxes.
I mean,
So, like,
even
that's
even Shadow of War attempts to do that with their weird online
Right.
invasions and that type of stuff.
I would argue that like the idea of extending support for a game much longer than we have, which is really like the end effect of like a games as a service concept, is not bad for games.
but not in the sense of post game DLC.
Right.
No, I think
That's
it's
a
about
different
repeatable
thing.
transactions.
Yeah, at some point, like that's like games as a service. I think you can't look at in terms of like how they're because that we have loot boxes and blind boxes for that, which is the actual thing, the actual bad thing we want them to stop.
So what would be like just for my clarification, the difference between like Destiny and Battlefront as a game as a service?
Battlefront is you go into a menu, you match into a match, and you go. There's no like here's the
stats
social
and-
space where we're all hanging out. Here's the like it's not like here's the emotes that are there specifically so we can show each other in some kind of social setting. It's not like, hey, I'm leveling up in this huge RPG like way. It is like that game is like Call of Duty, which they have tried to tack service things onto, but that's loot boxes.
So you're saying more of like you have your avatar.
When I think about the pure like games as a service concept, that to me is more like this is what MMOs are now.
Okay, like a platform,
Not
that
a
is-
monthly subscription, because that's not where the business is at right now, but it's games as a platform.
Like when I look at this list and I look at it on here, I don't think we as a group are necessarily against the idea of games as service. Again,
Absolutely.
it's the application of that notion to genres and games that feel like it is either ill-fitting or in some cases, at worst, predatory.
So should we just
But
take games
again,
as a service
that-
off?
Yes, because
Okay.
that's loot boxes.
And it just
Right.
sounds like the things that
I think that's fair.
would make people against that are the other
Are the
things.
loot-
on
yeah.
here.
Yes.
Okay.
So we don't like poor implementation
I
of
was gonna-
games
I was
as
gonna take
service.
that off.
Yeah.
Because like
like-
Overwatch is a game as service, right? But like that's, I think everyone's kind of okay with how that does it, right?
I
But
guess.
you're saying more you have an avatar that this is your connection to the world, or
Yeah,
like you're,
I think the lines are getting murkier,
Yeah. Yeah.
and
I think
games
we
are
just-
extending support in different ways in genres you wouldn't expect. But
Yeah.
that's not necessarily a bad thing.
yeah,
So
right.
if you looked at
yeah.
like something like Wildlands as a games as a service, like they have added a PvP mode, they've added all this other stuff on top of their season pass.
I just think talking about games as a service is really murky or troubled waters.
because
It's like we
I don't
put
think
video
that's
games on
inherently
here.
bad,
Right.
And that's just an application of modern
That's-
technology.
Right. It's the way they are choosing
Yes,
to apply
it's
it.
and that's the monetization stuff that I think is better reflected in other entries on this list.
I don't want
Like
ads on my title screen for loot boxes or anything.
No, I don't. I want to
Get that
boot
shit
up
out
my
of my
video
title
game,
screen.
and I want to play my video game. I already paid for this video game.
Sometimes, most of the time.
I'm specifically talking.
No, everyone quiet.
So I guess we're cutting that off.
I lost it.
And-
Damn it.
I lost
Dang
it.
it, Ben.
Look at the sun.
He couldn't even get the sneeze in,
Look,
so he is
payoff.
obviously not serious about this
I
entry.
think the in-game ads
hurts so
thing.
much.
The in-game ads thing for me is like, how intrusive is it? How annoying is it? Like, again, I don't think there's anything wrong with going into a main menu of a game and seeing like an ad for a piece of DLC that they are selling.
If it's something subtle like that.
Yeah, no, I don't.
But-
I think there's differences though. I think
There are.
like
Is
There are
the
big
difference
differences.
when they're selling loot boxes
Yeah.
because we have an entry for loot boxes.
right.
yes, but it's also like
Yeah, I think there's a lot of overlap there.
Well,
I don't know.
think
I
it's annoying.
actually
I
I don't
get
want
it.
any ads. No, I'm back on.
They
I don't
will
want
s-
any ads.
They will also sell you season pass. They will also
Yeah.
sell you other stuff.
The other thing I would say is that in the case of Tekken, I needed to know that Geese Howard stuff was there.
Agreed.
Because even if you own the season pass, you still have to go to the store
Here's
and
how
hit
you do
download.
it. When you boot up the game for the first time that Geese's Howard is available, and games have done this before, you get a pop-up that says, hey, Geese is available, and you like either hit the button to
isn't that
buy,
still an ad?
hit the button to close, and then if you close it, you never see that pop-up again.
I mean, I think I might prefer having a thing that's like in the corner I can ignore versus like a pop up I literally have to acknowledge.
Yeah,
to
I
move
kinda
Well,
through
one
it.
I find
time,
them easy to
like
Yeah, I think the one-time
if,
thing
if you
helps
press
a
one
lot.
time, it goes away
Sure.
and you never see it again.
I guess for me, I think it's annoying and I don't love it, but I don't also hate it. I think there are worse things on this list.
Yeah, I go back and forth on it. There definitely are a couple of games I played this year that just when you get to their title screen, whether it's appropriate or not, will just constantly try to upsell you.
Right.
worse.
In a I don't know what a module or whatever it is.
Yeah.
Like Wildlands would always just have
Right.
like Siege also has this
Was
constantly.
it Madden? I don't know. Maybe I just didn't understand the menu system in Madden, but I felt like I was like, oh my god, this just want me to.
Madden
buy-
is just one large ad.
right.
Yeah, that's the thing is that Madden's menus have been that kind of junky for a while. Like
Okay.
that's not a new trend for them.
I thought it was pretty awesome when I got a 3% permanent XP bonus in Shadow of War when I gave Warner Brothers my email address.
See, there you go.
Please start.
I like my Uplay points.
How about this? I put Disney on this list, and the more I was thinking about it, the more I'm realizing that's for like other media, less so games.
Yeah. What?
Fucking stop buying stuff, Disney. Fuck you.
Yeah.
It's they will run out of stuff eventually.
Yeah.
So, and
They
so will we.
be forced to
yeah,
stop.
I mean, if anything, I think it's pretty clear that Disney's involvement in video games is pretty fucking minimal these days.
This really, if I look at this year and Disney and you, this is really just more about like that time you got food poisoning at Disneyland thing. So
I don't know.
like that.
Please
I don't
stop
think that. I just don't
poisoning
think
our
that
beds.
counts. I just don't think that counts.
Well,
I am starting to feel like I will soon become a resident of a fucking like Disney corporate city state.
You are.
I think Amazon will get us.
yeah, but
before-
you're going
before
to be
Disney
playing
does,
an
but-
EA game while you're there, not a Disney game.
Yeah.
I think when Amazon or Disney buy each other, then we're in bigger trouble.
Pretty soon, all video games will be Taco Bell.
I think
We'll work for the Zaibatsu.
Yeah.
It'll be
Okay,
fine.
The only thing that was
Best trend.
the only thing that could have been positive was just unifying the X-Men, like Marvel Mutants license finally under one roof.
Well, there's still time.
Yeah,
we can
Fingers
knock Disney
crossed.
off the list.
I also don't think that Electronic Arts should be on this list because I think that most of their stuff has been loot box stuff. Like they are in a special category where they keep fucking up in a very extreme way, but
They killed Mass Effect.
They killed Mass Effect. They shut down Visceral Games. Star Wars Battlefront 2. I'm just reading the EA Presents Hottest Mess category.
Yeah. I mean,
only one of those is loot box based.
The reality is that,
That
like,
is fair.
The Electronic Arts, I think it obviously that loot box stuff comes into it, but I think that the overall business choices that company has been making for not just this year, but they've been trending in this direction for at least a couple of years, if not a few, are just all bad.
I don't feel like I really don't feel comfortable. Like I don't feel like I'm in a position to say anything about the Visceral stuff other than that's a bummer because that game could have been complete garbage and they were probably right to shut
But
it down.
it's not just about.
I mean,
I think it's more about like
Their
what,
messaging
what-
was really
well.
bad
The
in
messaging
there.
was terrible, but like all the decisions that led to it being terrible.
Yeah.
Like they gave Visceral Games and like if you believe all the reporting,
that's
like
the sort of stuff that we get into. Like some of that stuff I've heard, but I've heard it from second party sources. The reporting has been from like that's. I don't feel like that's something we can like officially hang on them.
I think the only thing I would officially put on them is their statement that they put out, which I think was pretty bad. Like,
It's a bad statement.
It's a bad statement, like especially with a game that you bring on a person, a very high profile person, in Amy Hennig to make a single player game for a franchise that everybody loves, and then say that was a huge mistake and that's not where the market is like, what do you? Of course, everybody's going to react negatively to that. Like you could have said the development was troubled or whatever. We're reevaluating. I think that's.
That's an incredibly shitty statement. Is
yeah.
that enough for me to say like, please stop Electronic Arts?
This is one thing on the list because, like, if you go back to Battlefront 2, sure, it's the loot box thing, but it's also how they handled their loot box thing. It's how they reduced the amount. They like bumped it up and then moved it back down, and then bumped it up again, and then bumped the other thing up, and then just like. Now you can still get the crystals, but not really, but kind of also. And then they're just like, I don't know, dude. We're gonna figure it out.
What's
eventually.
astounding to me about the EA stuff is not that they are making uniquely terrible decisions for their business, because like all publishers, like given the situation that they were probably in with Visceral and stuff like that, probably would have made a similar cut. The difference to me, and I think it goes back to the reporting around what happened with Mass Effect's development and how that game came to be the way that it was. Like, it's painting a fairly clear picture that not only are they making these like fairly unpleasant and bad decisions, but they are doing it in the most ham-fisted and fucked up way possible.
They do seem they are very lost. They wound up buying Respawn, right?
Yes.
That happened, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
And they did it because another company was knocking at the door and they had first right of refusal.
Yeah, it just seems like they are in some. They need somebody to put their hand on the rudder, like that. Like
I agree that they feel completely lost. But like
lost.
at the end of the day, is that something that I go like, they got to stop? Like, I don't give a shit if they run that company into the ground. It'll be a bummer for the people that work there. But like at the end of the day, is that like, does that impact me other than me being like a Titanfall fan?
yeah, I mean, I
guess in the same way it affects me as like being a Mass
yeah,
Effect
totally.
fan.
That's how I
Yeah.
feel. Is that like one IP after another is now being left by the wayside because they
That's-
can't make them properly.
That's 20 years of EA buying studios and saying like,
it
hey,
has to stop.
And it's like,
How am I ever going to get another magic carpet?
is there no value in drawing a line in the sand and say, please stop doing everything you are fucking doing right now?
Yeah, I don't know. Like some of these other ones are also like that. Like or maybe not. Like what's the Call of Duty case?
they've been. I don't think there's a case there. They've been on a bad run, and I think Call of Duty, they are 3 for 3 now in terms of every one of the studios they have making Call of Duty games has churned out one that is kind of a bummer. So you're like, all right, guys, there needs to be something else. You need to change it up.
Right.
I feel like we include that. We have to include a lot of franchises.
Call of Duty is in the same spot where like Need for Speed and Assassin's Creed is, where like maybe a longer break would help.
Where do you think it peaked? Modern Warfare 2?
I like Black Ops 2.
Black
Yeah,
Ops 2
that
is
did
really
well.
is
Yeah.
really great. And
I still like some
Advanced
of the games. Advanced Warfare is good.
I look at Advanced Warfare as like the last time I was like, yeah, Call of Duty,
right.
because they made a good thing, not
Right.
because I have liked Call of Duty in the past.
It seemed like everybody liked the Infinite Warfare campaign quite a
Yeah,
bit.
exactly.
Yeah.
The
They
multiplayer
had made
did
good
not-
campaigns for a little bit there, even after Advanced Warfare.
Yeah.
But
This rolls up, or I mean, I could be totally misremembering. Does this roll up the take a break stuff that we used to have?
this isn't necessarily that category, but we don't have that category anymore.
Okay. Because the Call of Duty stuff kind of sounds like they need to like sit down and
Well, it's weird because it's
figure
like
it out.
it's take a break, but also in theory, every studio has 3 years to make their game. So that's more than most studios when it comes to making a game. So they've found a way to give those teams breaks, and it's still not helping. The same way taking a break didn't help Need for Speed. Like take a break is a weird thing.
Yep.
At the end of the day, it is
It is a weird thing.
a little presumptuous on
And
our
I mean,
part.
I think in the
to
case
know how that works.
Yeah.
And I think knowing what we know about what Call of Duty means to Activision as a whole, like I think, we can say, please stop to Call of Duty, but we know that will fall on the deafest ears possible. There's nothing that can stop Call of Duty. The only thing that can stop Call of Duty is fucking, the fucking end of Activision at this point, or, just like sales tanking so hard that it's no longer a sustainable business. And from what I've seen, it doesn't seem like that's the direction that series is
that's
going.
not this year sounds like it is doing okay for them, if not actually good.
Yeah.
Which I don't feel strongly about the game this year. So that's in some ways a weird bummer. I don't feel like it's a top 3 thing. I feel like if we're really being honest here, loot boxes is a must-have. I feel incredibly strongly about WWE.
Yes.
Now for that is like literally just stop making those games.
Just like take that developer, take everyone working on those games, and put them on something else.
Okay.
And then put people who actually care about making a great wrestling game onto that, because it's a good license. It's the license.
Why this year though? Because
you
guys hate every wrestling game ever.
No, that's not true at all.
Not- you know what I
They have been developing WWE games for 17 years. They have been developing wrestling games for 22 years. They're still terrible at it.
But again, why this year? What makes
Because
this
they
year?
should have stopped years and years and years ago.
The difference is that in the transition from THQ to 2K, you had hoped that 2K would have made some changes, and now they've had a few turns at this, and it's clear that 2K is just like, fuck it, man, keep the money machine cranking.
It goes a level deeper than that. I mean, it is definitely the sense that like 2K learned THQ's lesson way faster and way more alarmingly fast than THQ did, which is that they don't have to make a good game. Any idiot will buy this game as long as they like WWE. They learned that lesson super quickly and immediately just started churning out complete bullshit year after year. But the other thing that makes this year particularly galling is the return of Fire Pro and like the release of Fire Pro in the US. Like, that is a 25-year-old series that has always been a 2D, like, sprite-based thing that runs fucking circles around these 3D extravaganzas that they think they are making with that series. And for that game to come back and still be the sprite-based thing that it is, and feel like I am so much more rewarded playing that thing than this thing they are clearly spending millions on just to get the lighting right on Randy Orton's fucking entrance. And for that game to still suck as much as it does.
And to be as fucking broken
Yes.
as it is year in, year out.
There are parts in that game where referees don't count pins.
And so you could make excuses in previous years if you wanted to. And for WWE 2K14, it's like, well, okay, that was right after they bought the license. THQ worked on most of this stuff, blah, blah, blah.
And that was the best
transitory.
one of this era.
It was. 15 was the first one on the new consoles, and that was still split. They had the old version and the new consoles version. It's like, oh, okay, well, they're still trying to figure it out. 16, it's like, oh, this is the first time they got to really focus in on this new console period. 17, they kind of ran out of excuses, and it was still bad, and now we're one past that, and it's worse than
And it's
ever.
somehow more broken than
Yes.
last year's game.
And all the modes keep getting worse. They take out the only stuff that's good. They double down on the stuff that's bad. The core gameplay engine feels terrible every
They
single year.
still have these backwards limits and like, oh, you can only download 20 things out of the DLC, out of the user created store, and then you have to wait for your download timer to refresh.
And
And
then
it's like horrible bandwidth limit things where like they don't want to spend the money to serve you user generated content.
And that has been a 2K issue ongoing. Like, they have always had terrible server problems with the NBA 2K games, and like them adding a whole customization element, I imagine, has compounded that problem for them. And it's a bad solution.
And they added loot boxes this year, because before, when you started a career, you could make your dude look however you wanted them to look. And correct me if I'm wrong, now like that stuff is, I got a loot crate and I got this cat mask and I got some purple pants, but like, no, I want to make them look different than that.
I mean, before they didn't have a good progression system for that stuff at all, and this was their solution to try and fix that, and it sucks.
Well, sounds like you guys said your piece,
wanna put
but it needs
wrestling
to
on this
go.
list?
No.
they need to stop.
Stop making these games.
How many has 2K made?
This is their
No, this would be their fifth. 14, 15,
Fifth?
16, 17,
This is their
18.
fifth.
Yeah,
Really?
fifth. Yes.
There was that time they put the they'll create the stage play stuff in it. And that was
Yeah,
fun.
that was THQ.
That was THQ.
That's all.
They
That's all
ripped
been
that
taken out of the game.
Did they
They
inherit
took
that
that out
anymore?
of the fucking game.
like
The
a
one thing that was like, hey, look at this cool
Ghost
dumb
Problems
thing.
was cool.
Ghost Problems is dead. I have to go. I can't even find. I had that disc and I lost it when we were doing Big Live Show, and I still can't even. I can't even see Ghost Problems.
The only saving grace of their earlier ones was the fun historical things with the good video packages and stuff. They cut that out.
I don't think that's the only saving grace. When we were doing the quick look, I saw some very good foot fetish that
Yes, as a delivery mechanism for
That-
foot fetish porn, their user created logo system is not bad.
I know there was one that was just boobs.
They just have a thing where you could just upload any image to this gallery thing that was just like it looked like the worst aggregation of avatar icons from a message board.
And
It was SpongeBob, Taylor Swift, and a weed leaf.
Yeah, and the thing you are describing is the best part of that game.
Oh, that was, yeah.
I saw a poorly made penis in Call of Duty last night. I don't know if that counts.
Did they inherit the tech and stuff from THQ?
Yes,
or did
that's
they-
all Ukes.
It's all the same developer.
Oh, okay.
So like Visual Concepts came onto it, and
I see.
they I guess are attributed with they're trying to make the models look better because they made the NBA games and the good looking characters.
Like they are
So,
the production arm of that.
Yeah.
I see.
And presentation-wise, they do some good stuff. But man,
you would hope that that would have wider influence on the gameplay, but it's still not only is it the same shit, but the stuff they change seems to be just making it actively worse in a lot of ways.
But now if you press the analog stick, you can lift them up and walk around a little bit, and like it just feels like horseshit.
And if those games had just been universally bad, top to bottom, for the last 15 years,
Which they are.
No, that's the thing. Is that there are some of those late THQ entries where I feel like
Here comes the pain.
They started to get onto a path that felt like, okay, maybe you're starting to figure this stuff out. Maybe it's going in a direction. And then as soon as 2K took over, it was just like, nope.
I think 12 was their attempt at a big reboot,
And it wasn't
I
good.
didn't like that. I think 13 and 14 is the closest they got to getting all right.
Yes.
And I think I actually liked 13 a decent amount. But it's just
I'm right
kinda
there
worse.
with you. Yeah.
Do they lose the license if they don't make a game?
They have to make a game every year.
They can't.
It's
they
very
can't
important
stop.
to WWE.
can't
They
stop.
really push this game.
I think the thing that maybe doesn't always come across, especially when you consider how licensed games tend to be, it's like WWE is not a hands-off licensee. They care about the video game a great deal in the sense that it is a huge part of their financial picture every year.
Yeah.
But we
But
went to an event for it.
yeah, I mean, they still spend stupid video game company money on parties for those games that publishers just don't do anymore because they're adamant about people paying attention to that stupid fucking game.
Although, to be fair, I did hear Jerry the King Lawler say on Raw that a lot of people were saying that the 2K wrestling games are among the best games ever made. So,
I mean, Jerry Lawler would know.
he
Please
does.
stop
he does.
Jerry Lawler.
Yes, please.
Yeah.
All right.
Well,
I think if there was ever a year to finally just say no more of this bullshit, this is the year. I feel like they've run completely out of excuses.
You guys have convinced me.
It's time.
all right.
They fucking suck.
All right.
A 16-bit game is kicking their ass.
Okay.
So we
I just
have
want All-Stars
WWE, loot boxes. What's our third?
We're taking EA off. It sounded like.
That's pretty broad, but
I feel like it's overly broad, and so much of what we hang on EA is stuff that we're pretty sure we know,
Right.
but we don't always know. And
I mean, all that stuff passed the smell test for me, but
yes.
We've also communicated in various ways already through these categories the ways in which we are displeased with Electronic Arts and its output this year.
Yes.
I think for me, it gets cut from this list out of some amount of apathy for what that company has become, and I distill more of that into the blind box stuff at this point.
I think they're just having trouble finding a future.
I think big publishers are having we're seeing a transition right now that is not entirely unlike the arcade to home transition that companies like Midway and Capcom and Sega had to go through.
isn't EA beating its earnings estimates though?
Lately, they are down. As of this recording,
Very
they,
lately, very recently.
but yes, they have been on a huge upward. They've been at or near their all-time high for stock price.
That's the sad reality is that even if they're fucking this part of the business up, they're making so much in mobile spaces and stuff like that that they probably don't care.
Well, I bet those 2K or those WWE games still make money.
Yes, they do.
Oh, yeah.
That's what I'm saying. That's the lesson they learned.
I don't know if the financials are they definitely should maybe come into account. But like, just
No. I'm not like saying that's part of the argument or that
Okay.
that they should be rewarded
Oh,
for.
just
I'm
odds,
saying
right.
they don't.
Yeah.
They're not incentivized to fix their bullshit because
It's
they're
only
already making
because
so much money.
the Loot Crate stuff blew up on them
Right.
on Battlefront that
Right.
now I think, and well, the other thing that's happening is now you have a lot of people looking at FIFA Ultimate Team and going like, wait a minute, y'all been at this a while, huh?
Yeah.
Well, I think there's. I'm sure they would have liked to have made more Mass Effect games as well. Like I think that stuff does nip them in the butt.
All I was trying to say is don't look at what's happening in the console space with them and mistake that for them
Right.
being on a downward trajectory because they probably could give a fuck. With how they're doing in other business units.
Well, I think they're looking at some of the other things that maybe were even on this list and saying, how do we exploit that, or how do we get into some of that in a way that is forward facing, or put that into all of our games.
But yeah, like the stuff we would talk about with EA, I think, and even loot boxes, I think is a symptom of just like big businesses trying to figure out what it means to ship big games these days and how to find ways to make that work for them. And I think Warner is going through similar stuff. Like Warner, they put like weird microtransactions. You could buy easy fatality tokens for a Mortal Kombat game. Like, with like the struggle is back in terms of like people going like, how do we figure out ways to squeeze more money out of these video games?
They did that weird Catwoman exclusive thing in Arkham City.
Yeah.
That whole mini
that's
campaign.
right.
Put
Yeah.
multiplayer codes in your
There you
redeemable
go.
codes inside your box games.
Oh, great.
And then if you sell them used, you have to pay $15 to play the multiplayer.
Ubisoft has gone
yeah.
down this road of like their Ubisoft's version of flailing around and trying to figure it out is like, I guess let's just really support our games really well and hopefully people will continue to like them. Like they put out a big Division update like by the time this is recorded, another Division update hit. It's insane. I think that stuff is a symptom of larger headwinds that big games will be facing next year.
Can I share a recent story from yesterday?
Please do.
From yesterday. We were going to download something on your Switch.
Right.
And we couldn't connect to the hotel Wi-Fi because it was a captive portal.
Yeah, that sucks.
It was very annoying.
Come on,
We should-
Nintendo.
And we
should
looked
talk.
it up, and there was no good way to do it.
I mean-
I thought I was going to be the only one complaining about this.
Oh,
but-
no.
But okay,
I
let's-
also-
The extra thing
talk
about that
about
Nintendo
this.
stuff is that specific case is supposed to work now.
Right.
It does not.
Yeah,
Well,
they have
so I
support.
have had it work. In
They-
cases
did it
like
pop up with like a browser
There
window?
is a
Yes,
browser
yes,
specifically
I
to do
actually
that.
also have. It's not super common, but I also
Yeah.
like tried to get on the Wi-Fi with my PS4 and couldn't. Like,
Yeah, that would
granted,
help.
I have the alternative of like hooking it up to the LAN or whatever, but
The case there is that the Switch is a portable that you're supposed to bring
Right.
with you,
Yeah.
whereas the PS4.
Yeah, so we saw some stuff when we were looking it up last night. We saw some stuff where people said, "Hey, this works," and other things that were like, call the hotel and ask them to.
Yeah,
I know,
open
I've
up an
had
IP
it.
address or
Yeah.
something.
I've had it open a browser as if it was going
I
to let me
feel like I
authenticate
have
and then just
too.
not do it.
I've had it work and then had that case happen
Yeah.
as well,
Yeah.
like on the same Wi-Fi network. Like it is so slapdash.
But yes, the part where you're supposed to bring this with you as a portable device
Yeah.
is the more egregious part of that.
Well, the problems are way more systemic than just the Wi-Fi.
Yeah, it's just
it's
like-
just
like-
one
Like,
example.
the design of that thing, top to bottom, sucks. Outside of the fact that it's a cool portable / TV console, like
It's a good video game system, and
well, no, I would say it plays good video games.
I think
I like the
there are
design.
aspects
I think
of the
I
design that
love
are
I think
Yeah.
the power and
Yeah.
battery, like
The hardware's fine. The hardware is totally fine.
It's a feature
I'm
set
talking,
around.
Yes,
it.
I'm talking
Yeah.
about the console interface and software.
Yeah, it's
are
more about the
garbage.
OS and things like
kind
that.
of like how streamlined it is. There's
I
dumb
like-
stuff like
okay,
no
fine.
cloud
Streamlined
saves
element
and-
is not the
Fine,
problem.
fine. The way the games are presented is
You're
totally
saying like
fine.
no cloud saves.
Like no cloud
you're
saves. The
saying-
friends list
voice
is
chat.
Yeah,
worse,
yeah.
Still bad.
worse than useless.
The voice
Yeah.
chat app.
Like the friends
Yes.
list regressed. Like you need friend fucking codes again.
Yeah.
No-
Okay,
no-
I agree on that.
No voice
Yes.
chat. No like equivalent of the Miiverse or something cool like that. Like anything that they wanted you to do with it, they shunted to that
Yeah.
awful mobile app.
and even like the Splatoon stuff that kind of mirrors the Miiverse, you have to tweet it or put it on Facebook before it can post anywhere. You have to, which is so frustrating and stupid, but you have to. I hate
It has the best
You gotta
screenshot
make
tool in
a
consoles.
burner
it's a
Twitter
good
account.
screenshot tool.
Yeah,
I'll give you that.
It's a quick, snappy screenshot.
They
tool.
also had 3 years of watching other consoles do
Yeah,
that
yeah.
to learn from it.
Right. Like,
And the
this is-
thing is, that's the only lesson it feels like they really learned from the other consoles.
it's just incredibly bare bones. The whole console experience is super bare
But
bones.
if that's the sacrifice of like the
But it's
core
not a
gimmick,
sacrifice.
I guess it's
It's
not.
not
They
a
could
sacrifice.
have
They
done
could
both.
have done
They could have
it.
done it
Yeah.
right.
The things
yeah,
that things
yeah.
we're
make
talking
those
about
games
here,
without those bugs.
the things we're talking about here don't feel like sacrifices in service of making that system portable. They feel like just poor design
yeah,
decisions.
those are not there are no visible trade-offs there where like it
We
being
did
a portable
this so we could make
Right.
it portable.
Right.
Here's
Yeah.
this one. On your portable console, you can't use Bluetooth headphones.
Yeah,
That's
that,
stupid.
That, I hate that. I
Yeah,
cannot
that's
stand
really
that.
dumb.
And I'm not even a Bluetooth fan. That's just still ridiculous.
This is maybe also a very specific thing to my case, or I don't know, Jason, you probably might have run into this. I think the parental controls on it are pretty bad. Whereas
totally.
They are system-wide, not account-based.
No, I'm so sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah, so they're system-wide, not account-based. So
weird.
yeah, so like if I turn them on, then I have to my account on it, and there's no individual locking. At least that I didn't see. There's no individual locking out of individual. Like there's no password feature. So
Yeah.
like if Max wants to take the Switch and log into my account, which is automatically connected to the internet,
Yeah.
he can do that without a passcode. At least that I could find. I could be wrong. I haven't done it that much. But then also every time he launches a game, it asks him to connect his account to an internet service to make it a Nintendo account. So like I just want to be like, this is a kid's fucking account.
Yeah.
Just stop asking him to like connect it to the internet. Which seems like
Did
something.
you install the app?
No.
They have a
did.
parental control app for phones that is like supposed to be.
Yeah.
They have a voice.
There's a
app,
really
too.
good commercial
Yeah.
with
Now it's
Bowser
Bowser.
Jr.
I watched that's on the console. You can watch that on the console.
Yeah.
That is probably the better.
They
parental
do
control.
have some kind of app that's like
Yeah,
supposed to be.
they told me about it.
There's
in their
not
little
even
video, but, like,
there's not even a mechanism for stopping people from logging into your account on that. Like I was reading a forum thread the other day where a guy had made his 4-year-old his own account and like tried to tell his 4-year-old, it's like, hey, look, every time you play a game, just
But that's what I was just saying. Yeah, there's no like passcode to like up,
right,
down, down.
right. So
So
this
if someone
his kid,
steals your console,
well, that's a whole separate thing
Yeah.
because there's no
credit
like
card.
when you turn the system on, there's no way to stop people from just hitting the button 3
right.
times.
There's no
and getting
password
into it.
protect whatsoever.
Right.
This guy's kid had like
Yeah.
ignored his instructions and used his account and like destroyed all his saves.
It happened to me where like
Yeah.
like I would go in and be like I did it almost the other way too, where I was playing under Max's account for like Rabbids and been like, oh fuck, I gotta go the other way.
Yeah.
But yeah, he can totally go in and play under my account without having a password
or
on it.
accidentally delete your saves or something.
Like I know.
I think it's a silly thing for Nintendo
Right.
who sometimes props that's most of their stuff up in a way to protect the children of like and then to kind of miss on this one.
I know a lot of people couldn't give a shit, but I really wish they had done some kind of achievement/trophy thing.
Yeah,
like I think
I do
Nintendo's take on that would have been really interesting to see if they had put
Yeah.
put the time into it, but they just didn't.
As someone who really loves achievements and trophies, I think there's something kind of liberating about not having to worry about that.
I can see that. I can see that argument, but I kind of wish there was something there.
Like it's the lowest thing on the list of complaints I have about that
Yeah.
system, but I can totally see why people would be bummed out by that.
But all that other missing functionality is just like, come on.
and
It's weird.
I don't think we'd be going as hard on this stuff if we didn't all actually really like the
yeah,
Switch
totally.
as a
Yeah.
platform.
That's what I'm
absolutely.
saying. It's like they're having their best software year in like what 20 years.
Yeah,
like,
in a good long
their,
while.
Their game output is incredible, but the system deserves better.
Also, oh no, you go.
The thing I would say is in opposition to this is maybe a minor point, but when it comes to all that stuff, I don't give a shit because I don't want to create another friends list because I don't give a fuck about having friends on a Nintendo platform because they
what
don't
if you
have
did?
enough
I
online
do.
games.
If they made a
yeah,
feature,
I mean,
No, I
I'm
feel
just
like-
saying, like, from my point of view, like, yeah, it sucks that stuff's better. Also, I'm never gonna care about like my profile on the Switch. Like those are single player games that I'm mostly into.
I agree with that, but I also feel like there's so much. Like that is one of the smaller points of contention I think that's here is like this is annoying and it could be better, and I think that if I liked what they were doing with the Miiverse, and I think if they had similar stuff that sort of created a better community, we would care more about the friend stuff.
Sure.
But I do think all of the other issues, like I can't hook my Switch up to the TV without it being on the dock, which is stupid and annoying. I just want to plug something in, plug it in. It's a portable console. I don't have to lug around a dock for it.
Yeah.
You know, like I think that there's so many other issues with it outside of that. I think that for me would be in the top 3 with.
And I think especially as Nintendo has started to branch out into more multiplayer focused experiences with stuff like ARMS and Splatoon 2 and all of
Yeah.
that, like things like Friends List actually do start to matter more because, I mean, certainly, yes, in previous years, there was no reason to care about a Friends List in a multiplayer Nintendo situation because there almost were none.
Yeah, and like on a 3DS, I feel like anytime I was playing Animal Crossing, like the vast majority of it was like someone sitting right there where you don't need a friend code.
But
It's
but like when they
look
put out a
at the
new
next.
Animal Crossing, you will wish that it had a better friends list. Like
yeah.
this is like chicken and egg problem of like you can't care about that stuff because it's not there to care
And
about.
it's
But I'm
not
saying like they did it on the 3DS, and I didn't care about friend codes there either.
I guess for me,
you're agreeing with me though. Like you would care about it if they did it better.
I mean, like I would like to be friends with you on the Switch.
Right,
but, like,
exactly.
It's like I could get a thing. That just says like Jeff, and that's just dumb.
I mean, it's an
Yeah,
insanely
it's bad.
poor implementation for that stuff.
I also think for the Animal Crossing argument, I mean, I was a younger person playing like New Leaf on the DS, and granted, they didn't really have a lot of online stuff, but like I wanted that so badly, and like doing it even a little bit on the 3DS was like, I wish it was easier, and I wish it was better, and I wish it was going to be better on the Switch, although it doesn't really seem like it will be.
I really
it's a
think
shame.
the top three things on this list are probably the three. Like when I look at something like physical copies of early access games, and honestly, that's more just depressing than anything else. Like it's not like some horrible trend. And I think it's going to die out soon enough as physical goods become much less of a focused upon thing. But the way they are doing it is almost hilarious how stupid it is.
Yeah, like I would almost group that in with like the physical boxes for paper codes kind of thing.
Yeah.
So, like
Oh, right.
the like paper disc that's in a box. Like I get people want to collect that stuff, but at some point it's kind of silly.
Yeah.
It's wasteful too.
I guess I'm in the minority here, but the Nintendo stuff really doesn't bug me overall. It's like a few things like, yeah, I wish this was better, but like it's a combination of having solutions already available outside of the app, like for voice chat. Friend codes are a hassle, but like, I mean, it's typing a few extra numbers in rather than.
I
like,
don't
a
bother
username.
adding people to my friends list because it's such a chore
Yeah,
on that thing.
like, I think
the features are so badly designed, you don't want to use them. That's a major problem.
I think it's really it's the commentary here is less that any one of these problems is uniquely terrible or problematic for people. It's that it's just such a stark example of Nintendo dragging its feet on problems when it doesn't want to solve them. Like the voice chat app is the perfect encapsulation of that. You can tell no one at Nintendo wants voice chat in that game. They are not interested in trying to present that to players. But people complained about that in Splatoon 1, the lack of options and that being in there. So instead of just saying, all right, fine, we'll fucking do voice chat and we'll figure out ways to moderate it and whatever, they're just like, no, we're going to create this app. We're going to create this like third-party hardware solution that looks like a fucking dongle nightmare. And we are going to do it this way so that no one actually wants to use it.
I bet we don't know, but I look at that and my take on it is they probably think they were doing something really cool. Like, oh man, phones are hot.
Yeah.
Let's tie right into that business.
Yeah, I believe that.
and leverage this tech that already
It
exists.
feels like just
That'll be
a
cool.
bad decision
Yeah.
that like they fucked up. And like they fucked up a few things about
We
their
heard we needed to make
console.
phone games, and we think this is what that means.
And they updated that app too. They changed it so you don't have to have the app open all the time. You can have it run in the
Right.
background. You can close it.
But they sure did launch it without that.
I'm never going to download
And
that app.
which
Also
sucks.
not. I did download it, and it sucks.
It sucks.
It still sucks.
It sucks.
I would
also
never
really-
use it.
And this is a very minor thing about that, but it really sucks that they locked a bunch of the like stat stuff for Splatoon into that app. Like you can't really surface
Oh,
any of that
yeah.
stuff in the game or look it up in there. Like you have to go to the app to like look at
These
your
just
stats
feel
in
like
that game.
such minor little.
But there's a billion of
like
minor
death by a
things.
thousand
Like,
cuts.
it's a
'cause there are
collection
a lot
We've
of these
named
problems.
like 3.
Well, I think we need more than 3.
way more than
we
3.
Need way,
I
also
think the internal storage isn't big enough on that for what games are these days. I think that's a problem.
That's a good one.
You gotta get not having a wired connection on there for people who want to. You have to use a third party dongle or get something else to use a wired connection. Games are big now; and they're getting bigger. They're having problem with going with. I mean, this is a tough one to solve, but if you're going to go with physical carts and the prices of physical carts get more expensive as the
Got to make
storage
them
gets
taste
on there.
better. Yeah.
Oh yeah, and
like
like the
people-
half carts, like with Doom, how it's
Yeah.
only the single player. Yeah,
I mean, like,
Because their cost of goods goes up so
Yeah.
much if they put all of Doom on
Yeah,
a cart.
yeah, yeah.
That they're
It's
like,
like-
download it.
That's pretty tough, and eventually, maybe not this year, or 2 years, or 3 years, but games are getting bigger, and like that's probably not going to go away. It's a problem, and that will make development for the Switch a problem as companies have to weigh that against it. Also, Nintendo is just so weird with that stuff. Like, I just
They come off as old fashioned and out of touch.
like remember
in
when
a
you
lot of
couldn't
these
was it like the
cases.
3DS couldn't get on? Was it WPA 2?
Yeah.
Like what are you doing?
No, it'll get on WP. It was the
with
DS.
This is the DS.
Wouldn't-
Just like stuff that was just like we had to have our own network.
Yeah,
right?
they just lag behind like standards and practices that they shouldn't. Like stuff like parental controls and cloud saves, like those are solved problems. Like they've been solved on other consoles for years.
And they're solved in problems that like they're solved in ways that actually work.
Yeah,
It's not-
totally.
they're not
It's just
looking.
like-
it's not like they could look at it and go like, well, we don't think it's there yet.
Right.
The
It's
way
just copy
Apple
what the
does
other
with
guys
some
do.
stuff.
Like it's fine.
And like maybe this is not a big problem. Like this might just be an us problem, but like some of that save transfer stuff
Yeah.
was
Yeah.
really annoying.
Yeah. It's a problem for everybody. Like people, you lose your Switch, your save games are
Like
just gone.
it's funny. Like they sent us a Switch for review purposes, and we don't use it because you can't. What could we do with it?
Yeah,
Because we're downloading games. They're locked to the hardware more or less. So anytime we cover a Switch game, it's bring in your Switch and dock it and do this stuff.
Which, like in itself, is kind of cool, but like you
Yeah.
have no options there.
Right.
There's
It like
nothing-
there are a lot of cool aspects of the
Yeah.
Switch, no question.
I don't think there's anybody in this room that does
Right.
not like the Switch.
Yeah.
Like,
But
it's
I think-
because it's so cool that we wish it was
Yes,
better.
totally. And I think that there have been very specific complaints and annoyances and issues that Nintendo has addressed in
Yeah.
a way that just is so backwards.
A lot of it for me, I think, comes from their weird half step of like
Right.
at home console or portable device, right? Like I wouldn't expect a LAN port on a portable device, and I wouldn't expect to have a captive portal support or something good on that on a console device. But like they're trying to bridge this world where like we can compete on the console market, so like you can play these big games on here. Like I don't expect giant massive storage on a 3DS, right? Like
Yeah.
but you're trying to play in both. Swim in both pools, and some of that stuff is I'm
You see the
finding.
limitations
I
by
see
the choices they've
yeah,
made.
they're
like
stretching it out.
the Ethernet port. Like I don't look at. I mean, their last two platforms have also not had a
Sure.
port.
Yeah.
So
That's not a big huge one.
Yeah.
It's just more of like the size of games getting bigger, and like it's just a speed thing. It's just a convenience thing.
you need to get faster Wi-Fi.
I probably do, but like I don't want to have to like go out and buy a bunch of accessories to make this the console I want. And I think it is, aside from the tiny little controllers they have on the side of it, I think it is a pretty good physical, well-designed console. And I actually like it and didn't expect it. And I think the gimmick works. I think the plugging it into the Switch dock and having it go to the TV and taking it out works. Surprised the battery life works as well as it do. It's just one of those Nintendo things that's just
Yeah.
like
It's a very Nintendo-like solution
Yes.
to every problem.
And
they have.
these are things I think that we all feel like are holding it back from being this thing that we can just wholly celebrate the way we want to.
It's specifically because I know some people like motion controls more than me, but like I didn't like the motion controls on the Wii. Like the screen gimmick on the Wii U was like whatever, but like finally they've hit on a gimmick that's like fucking awesome.
Yeah, and
like this is something with value.
Yeah.
so
it
I
makes
wish
the
they-
Wii U feel like the weird prototype they probably shouldn't have actually sold of this console.
And when when they finally do put the 3DS to bed, like that Switch becomes even more important, right?
Yeah.
Because it's they've unified their lines in a lot of ways where you could have one platform with all of their output, and that's important.
Yeah, it's weird stuff like that. I mean, did they get their virtual console up?
Nope.
no,
not
not
at all.
yet.
Not even
Which
close.
that's not.
I don't know if that's here
Oh
or
God!
there,
And
but, like,
that online service with the NES games.
They're like Netflix thing.
Yeah,
Which
yeah.
they walked back.
Yep.
or
But
they
then
they
kinda-
haven't had yet, and who knows what the thing will even be when they finally do roll it out. But yeah,
Okay.
it's some weird things that I think will actually stop and get fixed on its own eventually. A lot of
Yeah,
these things I think will
probably.
get fixed, but
by them. You mean by updates?
by Nintendo,
I hope so.
Yeah, like
But like also, I feel like I've seen like 3 or 4 different interviews where people have asked Reggie about it, and he just gives some hand wavy like we always listen to our users.
what he's in the business of saying.
Yeah, I
that.
know. I know.
All right. Well, let's take these top 3 then.
I
Yeah.
think so.
Yeah.
And I think we all kind of are.
yeah,
in
we didn't even talk
agreement.
about loot boxes, but like,
Because we know.
we've been talking about loot boxes and their implementation and their sometimes predatory nature.
But are we okay with like I've never felt bad about the way Overwatch specifically
Right.
does it because that feels very purely cosmetic. I mean, is that seen generally as a positive example? of that?
Two ways to look at this. The two ways I think we state this are non-cosmetic items in loot boxes or blind boxes as a whole. And I think I am of the mind, like I've been shifting a lot on this as this stuff's been happening over the course of this year. I think I'm at a point now where like I think even Overwatch is bad.
Okay.
Like if you could just earn a currency as you level up, or spend real money if you want to, but literally just I want this specific costume.
Yes.
Like that is like better than the slot machine.
It's better, but like obviously it makes the company more money, and then
That is not my problem.
Yeah.
that is
Yeah.
not
Like I agree with you from like
that
a
is
business
not
sense.
that is not
but
my problem either. But like you have to consider that in why in like. the company that can then afford to do this and this because of the money they're getting from this practice, which I don't care about. Like, if you get duplicate items, you get currency. You can use that currency to buy any costume you want.
I agree with you, but I feel like the currency you get for dupes in a lot of games is
a fraction.
Really low.
I've been able to buy many Overwatch costumes. I've never seen an Overwatch costume and been like, I really need that, and not had the funds available in my wallet to not buy it.
Yeah.
I can say that too, but I can only say that because I have spent money on that game and on those loot boxes.
And I spent a little bit of money on it too because I felt comfortable supporting them. And I wish there was a way to directly get what I wanted with money. That would be nice.
Yeah.
But I understand the realism of the situation.
I think if we start talking about the realism of the situation, you get into a lot. You get into deeper water on that because then you start going well, I understand why given that they couldn't make cosmetics, I see why Battlefront happened the way it did, and
and the thing is, I do see why it happened the way it did, but
right.
they fucked it up.
So I look at it all and go at some point, well, then this stuff has gone past the line, and I don't know that I can trust anyone with it. It used to be that you could trust and go it's only cosmetic, and I can trust they're not going to
But
put their finger
then
on
you
the
get
scale.
into a slippery slope problem where you're just it's going to keep getting worse if they don't stop doing this one thing. But why not just leave the one? Dota's been doing the one thing for 5-6 years now, and they're just still doing the same thing.
I think I'm starting to become of the mind that Dota and Battlegrounds and all that other stuff is lumped in with this.
I'm sick of it in Dota. I'm sick of it everywhere.
I think it kind of has to change.
I have played so much Overwatch and Hearthstone and in games like that. I have given a fair amount of money to Blizzard over the last few years with those games. I love those games. I love playing them, and I no longer have any excuse for that system existing the way it does, other than, well, of course it makes the money. And
also maybe I don't know if this is 100% true, but let's say you're a costume designer for Overwatch. You're in charge of making the next 8 skins for 10 characters. You're gonna make some that are kind of good. You're gonna make some that are. I mean, that's you're gonna make some that are kind of palette swappy.
At least a majority of the audience will want their favorite characters,
and then you're gonna make some really cool ones. And maybe you think this one's cool, but in reality, everyone likes this one. Why would anyone ever buy those other ones that you've spent so many hours working on?
Because you're still grinding out currency for this stuff, and at some point, if you've got all the good ones, you're going to end up with the other ones.
Well, I don't think you'd be grinding out currency if they just switched to a system where you buy what costumes you want to buy. I think they would get rid of their in-game currency.
You could always sell them as packs and raise the money, right? To be okay, it's a 5-skin pack. I mean, this is what people used to do, right? It was we're going to bundle into a pack and it's $10.
Marvel Heroes did a thing, and it worked out great for them. But they had some costumes that were skins, and that was one price. And then they had the enhanced costume that was now Deadpool's a pirate, and where they did new voice lines and all this other stuff, and charged more money for the enhanced ones. So I think there are business solutions for that too. Just because they aren't doing it doesn't mean they couldn't. Okay. And so I think that there are ways to solve for that in a more honest way too.
And I will say, for the record, I think they should do the thing where they publicly make the drop rates available.
Yes.
Yeah, that's the barest minimum they should be doing.
Yes,
this is definitely the year that I saw more people, even myself, starting to question: are you tuning the game to extract money for the purchase of loot boxes?
I am.
Yeah,
right.
And Forza was a case for me with that, where even at launch, even though at launch they weren't charging any money for it yet. They'd changed the way VIP worked and changed the credit earning and all this other stuff. And you look at that and go, that has to be in service of you selling these mod boxes, right?
So that starts to get into the place where I think it, for me at least, becomes I can ignore this whole store that I'm never going to participate in, and bleeds into the actual gameplay, for lack of a better word, loop of is that loot box shit getting into my single player game in a way that's I used to just be able to I don't care about the costumes, but now I've got to grind or dismantle weapons to get crafting parts for stuff that I don't,
the way Battlefront forced you into that loop. I think the way a lot of games forced you into engaging with the store in some way has gotten really nefarious. Destiny 2 has you visit the real money vendor multiple times over the course of the campaign to pick up free things. Hey, I got a helmet for you. Yep. And then so you get in the habit of what's this lady have? And then at some point you get to a point in the game where the only thing that lady has is shit for money. Yeah. and you're like, oh, okay, I get it.
At
now.
least in that case, you can pay the money and buy exactly the thing you want.
Right.
on a rotation. Like not everything is in the store.
Well, not
all at
everything
once.
is there, but you know what you're getting.
yes.
Like what I'm getting, I am at this point, I am comfortable saying a system where you can pay in money and come away with nothing that you want is a bad system.
Yes, and I think that's the thing where we're at with like buying
Like,
loot
that's
boxes,
as
even in
simple as it
Overwatch.
gets, yeah.
Where if
Yeah,
you're coming out of it
totally.
only getting currency, and sometimes that currency still isn't. It might not be enough, depending on how much you've played, how much you like. It might not be enough for you to get the thing you're actually trying to get. It's fucked up.
Like I feel like the best thing we've been able to say about any blind box system over the last couple of years is that, oh, you don't have to pay money for this. Like that's the only defense you can mount against these things is when they implement it purely as an in-game thing that requires no amount of actual dollarage to be spent. Sure. And that still sucks. Like when I'm playing, the WWE 2K career mode, I mean, that thing sucks for a whole bunch of reasons. But like the fact that I have to sit there and grind out to get random gear that I may never want to touch is garbage. Like what if
there is an inverse of that, and I'm totally in agreement now. You guys have convinced me this. And I'm not just like rolling over. I like you guys have made a lot of good points. Like in Dota, for example, I got a Bloodseeker item out of a chest that was really fucking cool, and I was like, I'm gonna play Bloodseeker. I've never played Bloodseeker. I equipped that item. I played Bloodseeker. I had a lot of fun.
I think that's part of what makes it so hard is that there are individual cases, and there are cases where I've put money into a game for blind box cosmetics because I've just liked the game enough.
Yeah,
right. That's what I did with Overwatch.
But I think and Hearthstone to a certain extent.
Yeah.
I mean
Yes.
those are literal.
Like if there was a way where I could buy everything individually, and then also there was a loot box that was way worth the value, right? Like you pay like $5 and you're gonna get 30 costumes or something, and it's random. That'd be fine too. But also give me the option to get what I want.
Yeah, I think that's but I think that like we've crossed the line too far. Developers have crossed the line too far this year into this stuff to where even the stuff that like last year seemed okay, like Overwatch. Like now, I think that system.
I will not defend blind boxes.
It has to go.
when you
in
have
terms
seen
of, like,
what it is wrought.
Gameplay benefit stuff at all.
So you're saying it is probably crossed from a check yourself before you wreck yourself.
They wrecked it.
into a please
Like
stop.
they didn't wreck yourself. Like EA wrecked it for them. Like there are plenty of other developers that were like, "Yeah, we thought we were doing all right with this stuff. Oh wait, everyone hates us now too. Shit."
Yeah.
Like that's what we're saying. We're not saying there aren't like levels to this. Like there aren't implementations that seem less gross or predatory than others. But at the same time, I think the entire trend of moving toward blind boxes and removing that notion of like sort of player agency and choice in terms of like what you're actually getting for the amount of time and money you are sinking into these things has to fucking stop.
Yeah, it's definitely become less of a peripheral thing and more of a core thing.
I think we should change the name of this to "It Has to Fucking Stop."
Yeah.
And I think if they don't find a way to stop it as an industry, if they don't find a way to self-regulate, like we're rapidly reaching that point where the government will come in and make them do it.
They're going to ruin it for everybody.
Which is probably worse.
But if they're like
self-regulation
in this case, like ruin what? Like what experience are people being deprived of if they come in and say, "Hey, this is gambling. You
You're
can't
right,
do this
but
anymore." It's
you're
like,
right.
"Oh darn!" And then I can't maybe pay for something I don't want anymore.
Yeah, but I think the thing that ends up happening there is like, okay, well, how do these games monetize
maybe
in a
they
way that
try to do something worse?
And it's
than-
what I talked earlier about, like the headwinds that I think big games are heading into. It is this.
Yeah.
They've gone from the online pass to the season pass to, wait, I guess we can't sell a season pass, so we have to try to make it up on cosmetics. Oh, wait, what if they were blind boxes? Oh, wait, what if we put gameplay stuff into these blind boxes? Like, they've tried a lot of different stuff over the last 5-ish years, 10-ish years, whatever it is now, and they've pushed it way too far in this one, and I don't know where they go from here. We're at a point now where I've seen no small number of people out there in our audience say, I would totally pay $70 for a game.
Yeah.
It's like when you think about the jump from 50 to 60, that was not part of the conversation.
No.
There were very few people that were like, I'm happy paying $60 because I know it goes to this, this, and this. Now you've got people saying, please stop. I will just fucking give you $10. Stop.
My worry is that they would raise to 70 and also not stop.
Yes.
Like I'm afraid the precedent is set,
Yeah.
and they're going to try.
And
to
they've
have
already
they're gonna
kind
try
of
to
done
have
it with
both
season
ways now.
passes, like
Right.
in a weird like subset of that.
Well, and
where
also
it's
you
like,
get these bullshit fucking pre-order versions of games that are like $100, and it's like, cool, you get some outfits.
Yeah.
Or like
you get to
forget
play
the
3
outfits,
days
like,
early.
The 3 days early thing is truly fucked.
Yeah.
In like a competitive game, especially.
$10 a day.
Or just even like the move to digital from physical, where you would have thought that the cost savings on manufacturing, shipping, like logistics and stuff would have.
I
would
used to
not
think that way, but like it's become obvious that the development costs are so high that that's where the bulk of the expense is.
I would imagine the physical distribution of goods is a significant cost.
It's more the physical storage of goods.
I would probably also say that like giving someone the digital rights to theoretically download a game over and over again for all time becomes a bandwidth thing on the platform
bandwidth
holder
also
to the point
costs.
where like when Steam takes 30%, like that's the same 30% that retail probably would have taken.
I wonder.
But Steam,
But like you don't have to hire like a pressing facility. You don't have to like go to print. You don't have to like.
No, but like
do have to
discs
account
are
for
dirt cheap to
you
manufacture.
do have to
Like,
account
that's-
for people like installing that game over and over again.
Yeah, I don't know.
I have a
Yeah.
script running out there to make it less profitable. For them. It just deletes the game.
you're
and
making
re-downloads.
problems.
Yeah,
I'm going to get the bandwidth I paid for.
that's right.
Yeah.
I mean,
I turned my Bitcoin farming machine to a
Yeah,
Steam
and
destruction.
you know, I'm paying for the unlimited bandwidth on fucking Comcast, so I'm making sure I'm like, okay, I want like 20 terabytes a month down. Let's go.
I think if we had to print all of our videos to DVD and mail them out every week, would be more expensive than our Akamai serving costs. It would be way cooler.
That's a
though.
factor. Yeah, it would be way cooler. Yeah.
Anyway,
Yeah, I mean,
way
you
cooler.
are
It-
probably
it's
right,
not related to
but
this at
like
all.
the costs of distribution for digital are not zero either.
no, definitely not.
As people in the digital distribution business ourselves, I think we are
not,
well
yes.
aware
Well
of
aware.
what those
And
costs
as
can be.
stuff games get bigger and bigger, that stuff. But listen, hard drive space gets cheaper and cheaper. Anyway,
Well, EA, you didn't win this category, but
You sure did put that category over the edge.
Please stop doing loot boxes.
Should we say? How do you feel about it saying blind boxes?
Yeah, sure.
Because we're not
Well,
inherently
what's
against the
difference, though?
concept of loot in games.
If people want to buy cosmetic things, or if people want
Yeah,
to
that's-
buy
blind box
add-ons
is
for their
fine.
games, I'm fine
Yeah,
with it.
blind-
It's literally just the
Blind box is fine.
chance.
Yeah, it's the random aspect.
the gambling
Do
aspect.
you count like Shadow of War, where it's like, oh, you're guaranteed to get one powerful orb?
that
one
still-
powerful-
that still
Like,
counts.
Shadow of War is the game that set the table for Battlefront
Okay.
to be as big a deal as it was.
Yep, for sure.
So you're just saying loot boxes where it's like you will get these 5 things for sure. That's okay.
That's okay.
More okay.
Yeah.
Knowing what
yeah.
you're getting,
Yes,
informing the player what they're getting is a different
It's fucking
situation.
5 sets of horse armor. Hey, guess what? You broke me. Horse
can't-
armor's fine. Bring it back, I guess.
I can't actually think of an example where that is in a box. Like that's just you buying an item.
It's a bundle.
At
You know,
that
you
point.
could be like, buy this
Yeah.
full uniform
Or a
set.
pack, yeah.
like there is
Like
no,
these 4 Mortal
Why this
Kombat
Arcana?
characters.
yeah. That's why blind box is a
yeah,
good term.
the Arcanas from Dota.
what if? All right, here's the solution. And I got it. You pay in-game currency to roll the dice to set the things that are in the box, and then you buy it with real money if you
I
like
think
it.
that might be Need for Speed.
Can you repeat that?
Okay,
I think I get it.
I should go. I'm gonna go work for.
Isn't that just craps?
that's craps?
Yeah.
So
It is
So
crap.
if you hit your point, then you get bonus items.
Depends if
Yeah.
Mr. King Dice is there.
What if the more
Okay.
money you put in, the higher the odds of the good thing?
Now, see, that's 5 years from now.
Well, that's already Dota.
Well, I mean, like Call of Duty will sell you a regular loot box and a rare loot box that is guaranteed to have better stuff in it.
And how the Dota chests work is you're guaranteed to get one of these 5 items, and then once you've gotten all 5 of them,
Right.
you have a chance to get these 2 golden items or whatever.
Yeah.
Too complicated.
Yeah, but all the times that I only wanted one of those things and I had to open it 5 times
Oh,
to
yeah.
get the one, like,
Yeah.
All right.
please stop blind boxes.
Yeah.
Also, stop making wrestling games.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, no, make good
Specifically,
ones.
2K
Make good
and
wrestling games.
specifically, yes.
Also, Nintendo
Do better.
fucking put in cloud saves
Yes.
and parental controls so Vinny doesn't have to worry about his kid destroying his save. Come on.
And like, make your portable system be able to get on different types of internet very easily.
Make
Yeah.
a real friends list.
Just
Yeah.
do it better.
Yeah.
Just do
Do
better.
better.
Yeah.
Nintendo, do better.
We really like your thing and we like playing the games on it.
I think Nintendo, don't be so scared of the internet.
Yeah.
It's pretty.
okay.
Well, actually, it's pretty scary, but like,
But it's too late.
It's going to be around for a while. Embrace it.
The blind boxes takes this category.
Yes.
For sure.
Oh, yeah.
100%.
All right. It's time for another break. We'll be right back with more categories.
Yay, I have to pee.